Hey everyone, and welcome to the Morning Chalk Up YouTube channel. I'm your host, Lauren Kalil. Today we're chatting with the founder of Australian clothing brand LSKD, Jason Daniel. It's so good to have you here and kind of in the midst of craziness because you guys are like right in the middle of your Black Friday sale that I can only imagine from some of the pictures and videos I've seen that it's absolutely insane.
Yeah. Thank you for having me. Stoked to be on. Yeah, really excited. But yeah, it's been crazy. The team's done a great job, to be honest. It's and the amount of learnings we've had over the last few years since we started like joining in on Black Friday. We've just got essentially 1% better every year, or more than that. So yeah, it's been crazy. That's why we had to postpone last week. It was a little nuts, but yeah, it's been exciting to see like what's just how the community's responded and the feedback's been amazing. And as you can see, we share a lot behind the scenes. We love to kind of keep our community up to date with what we're doing. That's why we like to be very transparent as a brand. And I think, the community respond really well to that. And I think that's, for us to be transparent, it just helps them know what we're doing, where we're at. And yeah, it's been fun.
Historically, have you guys started the Black Friday sales like more than a week before actual like Black Friday, or what was like the thought process behind that and really pushing people to have this like extended like 70% off crazy sale?
Yeah, it's a great question. I mean, we don't actually go on sale very often. So we actually hadn't had a sale since May. Like we did our app birthday sale for our
Oh wow.
and we, typically say Australia works off like June is kind of the end of financial year. The US community is January, and we didn't do a mid-year sale. We didn't do one. We decided not to, to really protect the brand. So, Black Friday is that time of year where we really like create. We really try to tie it back to our mission and values. That's why it's called Move Fast, because one of our values is move fast, break shit. And yeah, we do it a little bit
I
earlier.
love that.
Yeah, and we do it a little bit earlier because we honestly we've made a few mistakes in the past where we couldn't fulfill in time, and we've had to learn a lot with fulfillment to make sure we want to create a community and deliver on time for the community. So we actually did it slightly earlier so we could make sure we could fill on time so we could get our orders to the community before Christmas too. So that was something where we
Uh-huh.
allocated like a 15-day delay potential for shipping. This year, like the team has just like broken all records. I think they got like 40,000 units out one day and over 10,250 orders packed in one day. It was phenomenal. So we're so much better than last year. So we're actually packing quicker than we said to our community that we would potentially have a delay. But yeah, we've kind of typically done it slightly earlier to make sure our community can get their orders quicker, before, essentially before Christmas as well.
Such a great idea. I mean, once you're in the business for a while, I guess you learn what works, what doesn't, and how you can best serve your community. But let's go back to kind of the beginning and early stages of LSKD. For people who don't know, it actually stands for Loose Kid, which was your nickname. But I got to hear the whole backstory and how this all came to be and why that was your nickname, Jason.
Yeah, it's a funny story. I mean, yeah, I love reflecting because it really gives us an appreciation. But essentially, I mean, it started as a high school nickname. So in 2002, I was in grade 11 and I was riding BMX. And I was lucky enough to be riding with guys that actually ended up, one athlete went off going off and winning X Games gold in dirt for 3 years in a row,
Wow.
Corey Bowen. And I was this, 13-year-old kid riding with 18-year-old athletes. And I was out riding with, we were riding these big jumps and I couldn't make the jump. But I was the one giving everything a go. I was the youngest out of the group. I was like, it was kind of cool getting to hang out with pro athletes at the time because it really taught me discipline and, that athlete mindset. And I didn't realize that at the time. And yeah, I was the one just giving everything a go. And then I just got termed a loose kid because, I was the kid and I was giving everything a go and I just would, send it and have a go at it. So yeah, that's kind of where the name started. And it just kind of got used as that word of the, when we're all growing up, we all have that word of the month, that we use. It was just fun. It was like, that was the word we used at school. And then a friend of mine actually said you should turn this into a brand. And to be honest, I didn't really understand what a brand was. It was never intentional to go and start a brand. And there was no such thing as as entrepreneurship, I suppose. Then I was a kid, and it was before social media, it was before Facebook, I think it was MySpace around then, and MSN, and it was not,
Oh, wow.
yeah, so it was none of these channels, I was a lot younger, and I literally, a friend of mine told me to turn on brand, and my mum was a big help back then, and she helped me get the trademark papers, and we trademarked it. Loose Kid Industries. That's where and then from around 2002 to 2007, I finished school in '03. I ended up transitioning to motocross, and really wanted to become a professional motocross athlete. And at the same time, I was actually hanging out with some of the top motocross athletes in Australia, so I got to progress pretty quick and got to travel to America and go to AMA Supercrosses and with another athlete, and actually that led on to learning how to work with athletes as well. And from around 2002 to 2007, in that period, we really didn't do too much. But what we did do was we were setting up at the local tracks and events with a pop-up tent and selling a couple of T-shirts we had. And I've still got the first initial shirt from back then, from 2002, which is kind of cool. We have it hung up in our stairwell. And honestly, for me, it was never there was no like drive to go, I want to make this big. And then in 2007, I think I was just around a second year apprentice carpenter. I was racing motocross. I was really trying to push hard to try to become a professional athlete. And I said, you know what? I want this to be my career. I don't want to be a carpenter anymore. I want this to be my career. But I need to finish my apprenticeship. I need to achieve that and get my ticket. I started on $7 an hour, $240 a week. And so I literally just started going for it, working, before I'd start like my day job, I was working, whether it was 4:35 in the morning, and then I would start working 6:30, and then at lunchtime I was on the phone trying to sell to retailers with this one-page catalog, or ringing magazines and trying to get our brand into magazines, or I was testing bikes for magazines and putting stickers on helmets, and just doing anything possible to get the brand out there, even to finding a local t-shirt supplier, because we use local printers to get to print our t-shirts. And from '07 to 2010, for a 3-year period, I was still pretty much working full time. I went part time in the end, and we were working from my mum's bedroom. And then we ended up with 3 20-foot shipping containers in our yard. We had property, so luckily we had enough space for
Wow.
3 shipping containers, and that was our warehouse. And from there, we in 2010, we ended up moving from our warehouse, which was my mum's room in the house, and 3 shipping containers, into this. Yeah, it was crazy. And to be honest, I was 22, 23 when we moved out of my mum's room and into our first office, which was around 450 square meters. I have to work that out in feet. But yeah, we moved into this little office, and there was only there was probably, I think it was close to 3 of us there at the time, and then we just was like, okay, and at the time it was like, I just want this to be my job. I love it. Like I honestly loved it. I didn't know why I loved it. I loved creating something and being a part of something. And we had all these different things we did, but at the time it was all just about selling product to have a job. And when I mean selling product, we just made everything for everyone. And at the time we were called LKI. So 2007, we transitioned to LKI, from Loose Kid Industries to LKI. 2010, I went full time and with the brand, and we were just making everything. We ended up getting to a lot of retailers in wholesale, like major accounts that had 66 stores in Australia. So they would sell kind of our, street sports side of things, but we weren't really a sportswear brand by then. But we loved training and fitness because we trained for a sport. But then at the time, we started making life jackets, motocross gloves, socks, you name it, we made it. Like we just did everything. And it really taught me how to make product and product development and relationships with suppliers and, selling to different, like, I suppose, retail stores. So I got to learn a lot. So almost was, I suppose, essentially doing my on the job university degree and learning. But at the same time, we were just kind of, I was putting all this energy into everything and not probably, you don't see the return out of it. It was always just pushing everything and a little bit every day instead of just focusing on one thing. And it ended up being around, I think, 2016, 2017. I was kind of like, man, what am I doing? Like I'm kind of doing everything. And I kind of was in that position where the brand was, retailers started making a lot of their own products. And I was kind of like, well, we weren't actually doing too well. We were kind of stuck, and it was because we were doing too much. And we really love sportswear. And I actually started listening to a lot of books and did a course called Landmark Forum. And when I say books, it was the founder of Lululemon, Good to Great, E-Myth, a
Mm.
lot of different books, and just started questioning, what's my why? Like, what am I doing? and started to learn the financial side. I met our CFO today in August 2018, and he started to teach me, how to read so essentially a profit and loss statement and how to understand forecasting and planning. And previous to that, what we did is we actually had LSKD and LKI. I should show you, but it was both brands on the one kind of as one logo. And I was like, I'm confusing the community again. I'm doing.
Oh, okay.
So we started putting LSKD on product around 2016, and but with LKI, and it was just the little LSKD logo. And then it got to the point where I was like, okay, I'm confusing everyone again. I'm making two. It's literally become two different logos on the one product. So instead of it just being my decision, after listening to all these books and learning and kind of really just thinking, okay, well, how do I engage our community? And we were at the time around a team of 12 in the office. And I just, instead of it always being my decision, and I made a lot of mistakes and thinking I just had to make every decision, and coming from a job site environment, every mistake under the sun, and still learning. But I was like, you know what? I'm going to ask our team, what they think. And they all said, I love LSKD logo. And then I asked our community, I asked athletes, I just started doing really grassroots and asking for their feedback. And they all said LSKD. And I thought, you know what? Like, let's change the brand to LSKD. And so September 2018, we completely rebranded LSKD, and it was almost like a fresh start. And when we started it almost fresh, we were like, okay, we really wanted to develop sportswear, but we were like, who are we? And we love streetwear and we love sportswear. So we were like, well, we started working on a pair of women's leggings, which was the Rep Tight, and we really wanted to create our own raw material fabric, which is the Rep fabric. We spent about 18 months to produce this product because we kept testing with local athletes. And at the time, like I'd actually done a bunch of CrossFit. My friend had a box at his house, and I would go to his house and do Murph every year. We'd throw down wads, but I hadn't really moved.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, so I'd done a bunch of CrossFit and functional fitness, and coming out of like racing
Yeah.
moto, I was trying to find myself. I mean, I do a lot of events now with marathons, triathlons, lifting, everything. I love everything, but I was really just I didn't realize I was just getting to learn a lot. And when we at the time I joined a Fit Stop, which is a functional fitness gym. A friend of mine was the founder of that brand, and they're an amazing brand. They've just moved to the US, a franchise group, and and I didn't realize how powerful being a part of a community was, because I'd just been training kind of training on my own a lot, and was like, this is amazing. I'm getting to be a part of something. So I was getting the local community to test our products and get their feedback, and local athletes as well. And that's how we created our Rep Tight. And we essentially we launched our Rep Tight in 2019, and it's still our bestseller today. And at the time, I was like, okay, well, why do I come to work? Like, why am I coming to work, and how is our team going to be inspired to want to come to work? Because there's got to be a reason for it, and we didn't have a mission. I didn't know what values were. I honestly had no idea what any of that meant. Like, for how long I'd been doing it, I didn't know. And I suppose people say when you go through tough times, it really makes you dig deep into what you actually, your childhood upbringing and what I did growing up, and loving sports, fitness, and adventure. And there's a huge community around us that love the same thing, and even our team internally love that. So I was like, okay, well, we had this phrase, chase the vibe, and that our head of design, Dylan, created. And I was just telling you, he created the LSKD logo as well. And literally just said, well, okay, if our mission is to inspire people to chase the vibe through sport, fitness, and adventure, and we create sportswear with a street aesthetic, if this is something we all want to work towards, let's make the decision and let's not change it. And every time we make a decision, we go back to the mission, and make decisions off it. And whenever we're having a tough day, it's like, well, our mission is to inspire people to chase the vibe. Like, I get inspired by watching other athletes, community, the team out chasing the vibe through sport, fitness, and adventure. So, it inspires me to get out. So it was like, how do we, if we come to work and we create that culture internally first, and then it'll essentially bleed out, let's focus on it internally first. And that's what we started to do. We just started to slowly rebuild it in 2018 and 2019. And then it really started to grow. And then obviously COVID hit, and we closed our wholesale business down and focused purely on e-com. And now we're going into retail. So that was hopefully the 5-minute version, but it's been a wild journey, 20 years, to be honest. And I'm very thankful.
No, but I love that, and I think it's so important to hear the backstory and just where you came from. First, like, your mom, what a supportive sweetheart. I feel like I need to meet her and just, like, hug her. Like, having a son and being able to support your dream and your vision and, helping, basically turn your house and, like, the storage units into your own little shop. Did you always have, like, a dream? I know you said, like, you didn't really know what an entrepreneur was, but at what point did you decide, like, "Hey, I think that I want to become an entrepreneur and I wanna do it by building my own clothing brand?"
I think I always knew I wanted to build a brand. Like even in 2012, 2002, I always knew that we were going to make something of this. I just hadn't committed. And it wasn't that, I didn't even know the word entrepreneur, to be honest. Like I didn't know what that meant. I didn't really know much about it back then. I was in my early 20s and there was no social media. So, I mean, I've grown up working since a young age. My parents owned a plant. We owned a nursery, plant nursery. I worked at the local market selling, plants. Had my first job when I was 13. Working at the local pet motel, and then a gas station essentially. And
Oh, how fun.
so my and I suppose I've always worked. If I knew I was just taught to work at a young age, and I loved it. And if I ever wanted to, when I wanted to race, my parents couldn't afford to buy me a bike, so I had to work to make enough money to then my actual grandparents helped me to get my first bike. They went halves with me, and and they came over from Italy, my nonna on the boat. So I was just brought up around that, I suppose. And to be honest, I never it was never done for the money. I suppose like what was really interesting with the brand, it was something that was like I knew it was going to take time, and it's the same as, and it's funny I look back on it now, but when I started my apprenticeship, I just wanted to achieve and get my ticket. I didn't know if that, but I wanted to achieve it. I started and knew that there wasn't going to be a lot of money in it. It was like, as in, I'm starting as a first year apprentice, but I knew that there was a process. And I think the same thing with the brand. I always knew there was a process I had to go through and had to learn. And I didn't, it was just, I don't know. I had this thing, and I'm very lucky to have this gift where I just am so passionate about it and the why of it. But I don't know. I always look back to why I was given that, and I just go, okay, well, I've got this gift, and I'm very lucky that I have that, but I don't have other things, and there's other things I'm not good at in the brand, and
Mm.
some of those things are sometimes finishing things, and I have a team around me that are great at executing, and that's not some of my strengths. So we always learn like what are our strengths and weaknesses as the brand's getting bigger and our team's growing, so we can work together. But yeah, I suppose I was just had this fire in my belly, and it feels like a long time, but for me, when I made the shift, I was 31, and I'm 35 now, so it's really I'm really early days in my career essentially. Like, so it's been going a long time, but it hadn't, because I was lucky I was in my early 20s. And yeah, it's one of those things I was just thankful for.
Something that really stands out to me about LSKD is the branding. I think it's so clean. I think it's so unique. But anytime I wear the LSKD brand, the biggest question I get is why is the K backwards? Here, I'll show if we can see it. I
Yeah,
mean, also, this is like one of my favorite like pullovers that I own. I want it in every single color. Yes.
thank
We'll
you.
show. So, what is like the idea to having the K backwards? Is it just like an aesthetic thing? Because I think it looks cool.
Yeah, thanks. Well, actually, I was talking to you about this before. So actually, our head of design, Dylan, who's been with the brand since 2011, and then he left for about 18 months. I made a few mistakes, and then I called him up and said, "Do you want to come back? You're amazing." And he was learning as well, and his career was just out of university, and he actually created he actually created LSKD and the logo, and I suppose the thought process behind it was really it kind of created our own unique logo, and it looked fresh. And the team kind of, we all gave each other feedback. But it was funny, we were saying before, I'm like, actually, like, so it's funny because I haven't been asked that question a lot, and as we're starting to grow in the US community, we start to get asked that question a lot. But really, it was like the aesthetic of it, and it looked really clean, and to be honest, it gave us our own unique logo, with the backwards K, and that font. So that's kind of how it originated. There was not like a real kind of strategy behind it or anything. We thought it looked really fresh, and it gave it its own unique look.
I mean, and it does. So I suppose mission accomplished, even if, it's just an aesthetic thing, because I think that does like help the brand sets the brand apart from other ones with that little unique backwards K. But like speaking about other brands and like the development into the space, when did you make the transition into CrossFit? Because I know you've signed some top CrossFit athletes, some forward facing figures in the space. When did you make that jump, and why CrossFit? I know you have dabbled into CrossFit, but why this sport when there's so many other ones out there?
Yeah, it's a great question. I mean, to be honest, it was very organic. And coming from racing motocross and being a part of action sports for so many years, and we've got so many different action sports athletes that wear the brand, and I've known so many different action sports athletes that have gone into CrossFit, which is super cool. And we work with a lot of local fitness communities and a lot of gyms, and especially in Australia, we work with a lot of local gyms. And EXF and Urban are both within, and they were both at the CrossFit Games, the team events, and they're both literally
Yep.
now from our office. Moses from EXF comes in and does lifting sessions with us on a Friday in the team, and helps us to get better with.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah, he's such a legend, and he comes in and we just throw it in Slack, and we all go up there at 1 o'clock on a Friday, and we're learning. He's teaching us the fundamentals because I'm still learning the fundamentals, to be honest. It's in certain movements, so we were already working with local fitness communities and a lot of local CrossFit boxes. And then, to be honest, we actually had the opportunity. I was actually following the Buttery Bros, and I thought they were super rad, and as well. And
Oh,
I'm
neat.
fully honest, I don't think I've ever shared that. And I actually got an introduction to their manager through Blenders Eyewear. We have a great relationship with the brand and the founder, and we were saying, look, we'd love to find an athlete, and it was really organic. And then we got introduced to Khan, and then we had a call. He was over in Iceland, and even though he's in Sydney, not far from Queensland, and we a bunch of the team got on a Zoom call, and we threw down, and we just felt the alignment of mission and values, to be honest. And I think that was something that we're very
Mhm.
passionate about, is the alignment first with mission and values. It's not about rushing to sign everyone. It's about making sure there's that alignment, and it just felt very organic. And we're like, you know what, like we signed Khan for who he was as well, and not just for the sport. It was both, and it just kind of happened. I mean, and to be honest, I think CrossFit is such a rad sport. I think the mindset of CrossFit for an athlete, and even just 100 words of fitness, I get like goosebumps, because it's like, I'm going to do an Ironman next
Yeah.
year. And even watching James Newbury, like, he comes around to the office, and him doing like, he's not even an athlete, he's just a friend of the brand, but he's the athlete. But watching him throw down a strongman comp, and then doing a half Ironman, and then going straight in to a CrossFit contest the following week, like, it's
Right,
super.
like what?
And I think we're just all passionate. I mean, one of our team members literally finished second on the podium, Bronte, on the weekend. She got second in the podium in a team event, and she helped plan the booth for LSKD. So at the Down Under Champ. So there's just this, like, we just have a
Oh,
community
wow.
of house that train CrossFit, and we all train different disciplines. I mean, I like to probably say a hybrid athlete. I love doing a bunch of everything. And yeah, I don't think it was something where we went, oh, it's a strategy, like let's go into it because there's a certain amount of market share here and this. It really happened organically. And yes, there's a huge opportunity for us to grow with the community, and it's been amazing. But also, that wasn't the initial why. It was like, how does the line of the mission and values, and
Mm.
sportswear with a street aesthetic? We've always had that. Oversized fit unisex tees. We've been doing unisex products since 2018. Because our female community wanted to wear our male hoodies, and we're like, well, why isn't this just unisex? Why does it have to be termed as men's and women's? Like, it doesn't need to be. So, and that happened from feedback from
Sure.
the community. And I mean, the sweater you're wearing now, the A team, started out as a women's sweater, and then all of a sudden our team in the office are wearing it. And we're like, well, it's unisex. Like, the A team sweater is a unisex, style and oversized fit. So we didn't even design, for that within, say, CrossFit. It was like, it really had that great alignment, and it's been really special to watch, to be honest. Like, just, I didn't make it on the weekend, being with Black Friday on, but I was watching it on YouTube, the Down Under Champs, and just watching it and seeing different athletes and even non-LSKD athletes wear the brand on the competition floor, and how it looked and felt. And one of our goals is to be the best in the world at sportswear and women's leggings, and really try to create a great product for the community and the everyday athlete, and make sure it fits amazing, the fabric, and we're constantly learning. So just to watch it is super inspiring. Like, yeah, it's been really organic, and I'm a fan. Like being at the CrossFit Games this year, it was so sick. Like the cool thing about it was I could actually sit in the crowd and watch. Next year we'll probably be maybe at a booth and working, so I won't get to sit there and watch. So I was like, going, I'm going to take the time to really appreciate this moment, because when you're working at an event, you have no time to sit there and watch. So I was like, we were sitting in the stand just
Oh,
watching.
yeah, no, it's so different.
Yeah, so yeah, as you know what it's like. So yeah, yeah, it's been really organic and special. I hope that gives a good answer, but yeah, it's been cool.
Yeah, because I think it's so important to, like, stay true to your roots and stay true to your mission, but also watching you guys expand more into the CrossFit space and seeing, like, which athletes you're in line with is also super cool, and then seeing, like, the brand grow, not just more in the CrossFit space, but also more in the US. So I'm curious, like, are there any challenges that the brand faces when trying to like branch out into a different market? Like what goes into like the process and the expansion in that way?
Yeah, it's a great question. And going back to the athlete thing, like you said, it's totally right. I mean, when Annika joined the team, it was the same thing. And Matt,
Oh yeah.
he comes in our office tomorrow. Actually, I get to meet Matt tomorrow. He's coming in the office and coming to train with us and hang out for a couple of days. So it's super cool.
Oh, how great. He's so sweet.
I've
Yeah,
never
you
met
guys
him
are gonna have so
yet,
much
so
fun.
I'm so excited to catch up with him. But yeah, look, I think at the moment we're shipping from our fulfillment center in Australia as the brand's growing. Because the logistical side, as we're building the brand, it's so we do ship from our Australian office, but we're offering free returns as well to make sure it creates less friction for the community in the US. Yeah, there's been a lot of workings behind the scenes, with setting up entities and getting everything set up, and that's taken us a couple of years, to be honest. We knew it was going to take time as we built the brand, and for us, we're really trying to create a community over there as well. We've got years and years of kind of being at different events where we're still building that in the US community, and we have our team based out of San Diego, hopefully opening an office in the new year, probably after Waterpalooza, which is exciting, and potentially a small little pop-up shop there. And same thing, building a really grassroots and creating a community and working with not only local CrossFit communities, but functional fitness communities and anywhere where there's, I suppose, a trainer and local athletes that align with the mission of inspiring people to chase the vibe. So, but yeah, logistically, there's been a lot of learnings, a lot of mistakes, a lot of learnings. And we have a great team and how we're going to get through it in terms of like each step by step. But at the same time, one of our values with Move Fast is like, well, we've got to get it done, and we'll kind of keep figuring it out as we go, because if we don't dive in deep, you're never going to learn. And then I suppose having a lot of different mentors. I've been lucky enough since started travels back. I've been to the US twice this year and already, and I'll be back again for Waterpalooza, and meeting a lot of different brands and building relationships with other brands, and just learning from other founders in the US, and just trying to understand and learn, and really localize ourselves there. Hopefully I'll be over there and moving over there for a few months next year as well, and I'll be back and forth a lot as well to learn and build
Oh.
a community. So yeah, there's heaps of logistical things that are behind the scenes from a shipping perspective, and I suppose eventually we will, won't be far, and we'll be 3PLing over there, and then that's another whole, I suppose, logistical side that we have to sort with, allocation of stock in both locations. And at the same time, we're opening retail stores in Australia. We're opening our third store in next week, actually, in Chermside, which is not far from our office, so it's super cool. But then we're learning that as well. So it's making sure we're really creating the community in Australia, which is helping us to really build the brand in the US. So yeah, there's lots to learn, actually, which is fun.
Yeah, but I mean, congratulations on opening the storefronts. I saw like pictures on Instagram and, having the staff and the supporters there. It was just so much fun to watch. This might be a long-term goal, but I'm curious if like your wheels have already started spinning. Can we expect to ever see a storefront in the States?
Oh, 100%. Like, I think that's definitely a goal. I mean, 100%.
Cool.
We have huge goals. I think for us, and we have massive goals, but it's always bringing it back to the mission, as crazy as it sounds, to make sure we make those decisions for long term. But yeah, 100%. I can't wait to open a
Mhm.
store in the US. yeah, that opening is going to be fun.
So then what are some of the like next calendar year goals? What can we expect to see from LSKD as you guys continue to expand?
Oh, it's a great question. I mean, for 2023, I mean, really focusing on our product and fabrics and fits. Like products like, say, our Elixir. We're releasing that in different styles with pockets next year, and we're really trying to develop and listen to the athletes and double down on our product development and what we're doing with raw materials. We are opening some more stores in Australia
Mm.
next year, potentially one in the US. To be honest, there actually potentially might be one down San Diego, which is exciting. Um, but
Ooh,
I'm
okay,
super
okay. Let me know when that's happening.
excited. Our team there is doing a great job. So, and potentially something down in Pacific Beach.
Oh yeah, I met some of them at the Zalos games. They're a great group of people.
Yeah, you would have. Yeah, Brad, Ali, and Jamison. They were there with the van
Yeah, they were so fun.
so super
Oh
grassroots.
yeah, we hung out a little bit and yeah, they're great.
They're doing a great. They literally jumped on a plane straight after that and flew to Australia. So yeah, and then they've just flown back 2 days ago. So yeah, it's been good, but yeah, I
Wow.
mean we have a lot going on in 2023, and I think the big thing for us is really doubling down on our product for the community, and and then what we're doing with events as well, and localizing and being at more events next year, and especially in the US. We're going to be at Wadapalooza, so I'm super excited about that, and we actually have a collection, Miami collection, coming out at Wadapalooza, and it'll be only available there. So probably spill the beans. I'm probably going to get in trouble, but
I will
yeah, I'm excited about that.
I will be first in line. I will make sure that I am there.
Yeah, it's going to be cool, and we'll have all the athletes there, and yeah, I'm so excited for that. So I'll be there for that and getting to learn a lot as well. So we're doing a lot of local events next year as well.
Oh, Jason, it's incredible. You guys are doing some great things. The branding is incredible. And just watching from start to finish, hearing your backstory is so inspiring. Maybe even to any other entrepreneurs or future entrepreneurs out there who might be looking to start up their own brand someday.
Yeah, I mean, you got to start somewhere. I think that's the thing. I think once we started to realize, like we're learning, and there was very humble beginnings with LKI to LSKD, and I think that's probably the thing I've learned the most is you can create. There's got to be a strong why you're creating something, and that's what once we started to learn that we wanted to create something bigger than ourselves, but we had so many humble beginnings, and we're still so early days. I mean, we're just getting started. The brand is growing really fast and it's exciting, but it's still really early days for us. Especially on a global level. But yeah, it's hopefully I can inspire someone else that's getting started, and because I've been in that position as well, and I'm still learning. So yeah,
It's all a process. Well, Jason, thank you so much for sitting down and chatting with me and kind of telling us your backstory and the mission. I'm so excited for you guys. Again, congratulations on all your success, and I will see you at Wadapalooza.
yes, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. I've been so stoked to get on here.